Hello, my name is Dr. Martin Sebena and I teach politics and international relations at the University of Hong Kong. The COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine have made the Europeans acutely aware of the scope and depth of their outside dependencies. The pandemic led to the sudden realization that most healthcare products are made in China. Frequent lockdowns led to massive disruptions in global supply chains. When Europeans stopped buying Russian oil and gas after Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, the question of dependencies was again front and center in the European public debate. For decades, the Europeans have relied on cheap fossil fuel from Russia, cheap defense from America, and cheap manufacturing from China. With the prospect of Donald Trump being re-elected US President in November 2024, none of the three pillars of the old European political economy remain stable. So what are Europe's dependencies on China? There are too many to cover in this short video, so I'll focus only on those in trade and technology. The trade product that currently concerns the Europeans the most is cars. China has recently overtaken Germany and Japan to become the world's top exporter of cars. The Chinese dominate, especially in the production of electric vehicles, and their products go unmatched in terms of price and quality. This poses a threat to the European automotive industry, which employs 5% of all workforce, and thus forms the backbone of the economy in many European countries. Another important area of contention is clean technologies used to produce renewable energy, such as solar panels and wind turbines. Just as with electric vehicles, China dominates manufacturing these products because it has advanced technology and cost advantages. In terms of technology, China formulated the so-called Made in China 2025 strategy with the aim to dominate in areas such as artificial intelligence or bioengineering. Moreover, Chinese companies such as Huawei are major producers of telecommunication equipment, which allows them to get access to Europe's critical infrastructure. Why is Europe's dependence on China a problem? Do the Europeans not benefit from the fact that they get advanced and cheap technology from China? There certainly are benefits to deepening trade exchanges with China. But in recent years, there has also been a steep increase in associated risks. Let's start with economic risks. I already mentioned the threat that Chinese automotive producers pose to the European car industry and employment in the EU. Many more industries face challenges from their Chinese competitors, whom the Europeans accuse of using unfair practices such as subsidies and protectionism. Another risk is the use of export controls to achieve geopolitical goals. In recent years, the Europeans have learned on two occasions that China does not shy away from using dependencies to pursue its objectives. In 2021, when Lithuania had a diplomatic quarrel with China, the Chinese used sanctions to hurt the Lithuanian economy. Import of Lithuanian products was banned, goods remained blocked in ports, and even Lithuanian trade partners received warnings from Chinese officials. In 2023, China limited the exports of gallium, germanium, graphite, all materials that are critical in the production of semiconductors. Incidentally, gallium is named after France and germanium is named after Germany, two of the countries at which the Chinese message was directed. The depth of the dependencies, together with China's open use of its economic leverage and its tacit support for Russia's war in Ukraine, have sparked a long overdue soul-searching among the Europeans. Shocked by Russia's aggression in Ukraine, the politicians first proposed a policy of decoupling. This would reduce dependencies by diversifying supply chain, reshoring manufacturing, or working with new trading partners. In short, the economies of the EU and China would be separated. However, this would be extremely difficult and costly. Therefore, Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, announced in March 2023 that Europe was going to pursue a policy of derisking. Derisking also aims to reduce dependency on China, but not necessarily by ceasing to do business with the Chinese counterparts. Instead, it seeks to identify and manage the risks of dealing with China. This way, the Europeans can continue benefiting from trading with China, while at the same time lowering the risk that China could weaponize its leverage. The EU has worked on a number of measures to support derisking. It is implementing an investment screening framework to safeguard critical infrastructure and technologies. It works with European firms to diversify the supply chain and move some of their production out of China. It strengthens partnership with other countries, particularly those in the Indo-Pacific region. Is derisking going to work? It depends on who you ask. Derisking has been the EU's official strategy for only a year, which is too short to achieve meaningful results. Supporters of derisking point out that the overall awareness of the need to diversify away from China has risen. Companies are actively embracing geopolitical risk management strategies and working to increase the robustness of their supply chain. On the other hand, the critics note that derisking has been done in an uncoordinated fashion because the EU policy is ambiguous. In fact, there has yet to be an official definition of what derisking is and what its goals are. So far, derisking has been somewhat chaotic and, in many instances, has brought more disruption than resilience. While the Europeans often disagree on the form and goals of derisking, the triple dependence on Russia, the United States and China forces them to unite and work hard to protect their economic interests. Therefore, derisking is likely going to be one of the defining features in EU-China relations in the years to come.